Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, we are from group 4. We would like to explain about extensive reading, and I will explain about what is extensive reading. The first is definition. Simply, extensive reading is the reading pleasure or reading simply because we want to read. Or we also can say that as extensive reading is reading large amounts with the aim. The things to remember in extensive reading is reading is its own reward. There are no questions, tasks, or tests. And the second is reading is individual. Student can choose what they want to read. The next material will be explained by Sarifia.
Next material is the reason why extensive reading is useful for students. The first reason is students become better readers. Research by Richard Day, amongst many others, shows that we learn to read by reading. The more language students read, the better readers they become. The second one is students learn more vocabulary. Vocabulary is not learned by a single exposure. Extensive reading allows for multiple encounters with words and phrases in context, thus making possible the progressive accretion of meanings to them. By presenting items in context, it also makes the deduction of meaning of unknown items easier. Next is students improve writing. Students who read extensively also make gains in writing proficiency. This is probably because as students encounter more language more frequently through extensive reading, the language acquisition mechanism is primed to produce it in writing. The next one is students improve overall language training. Extensive reading would seem to benefit all language skills, not just reading and writing. For example, Cho and Crescent reported that the 4 adult ESL learners increased competence in both listening and speaking abilities through reading extensively. And then next, students become more motivated to read. It's highly motivating for students to discover that they can read in English and that they enjoy it. For this reason, it is essential that the books are explained to students and at a level appropriate to their reading ability. If students find the books compelling and interesting and can understand them, they may become more eager readers. This can also help to boost their confidence and self-esteem as language learners. Next is students develop learner autonomy. Students can read anywhere, at any time, and reading extensively helps them become more autonomous learners. To promote learner autonomy, extensive reading should be a student-managed activity. That is to say that students should decide what, when, where, and how often they read. And the next material will be explained by Sherina.
Next one is, what kind of book should be read in extensive reading? So the point on extensive reading are authenticity and simplicity of the materials used. The materials that we read have to bring pleasure and minimize frustration for the readers. The text should be fun. Thus, there are some types of books that can be read when we do extensive reading. The types are text on the same topic. The reader will read the texts which have the same topic, so they will not be confused and enjoy to reading. Next one is stories which include repetition. That's all that the reader read is simple and have any repetition so that they don't have to think much about it. And the next one is comics books. Comic books can be fun since it has the drawing and little text so that the reader could get the main point of the story easily. And the last one is anything that is enjoyable. The key of extensive reading is enjoyable. the materials that wouldn't bring frustration and make the reader feel enjoyment. The next material will be presented by Lahtiva.
And the next topic is, how can I incorporate extensive reading into my teaching? The first thing to remember is that extensive reading is something that takes time. This is why some teachers prefer to have their students read at home rather than at school. But actually, this method is not quite right. Students who feel overwhelmed by the pile of readings they have to read at home will feel bored quickly and eventually hate the activity in their minds. If the teacher tells them to read at home, then they will never do it because they often think it is not important, when in fact it is very important. But what if the reading activity is carried out in school accompanied by the teacher? Then the student will be more interested in reading. Teachers can start the activity by talking about reading in general. Who reads? What are you reading? When do you read? Do you read English? If you don't read, what are you interested in? Do you watch movies or TV? And what types of films or programs do you watch? By asking these questions, you can find out what kind of book each student likes. And the next one, take students to the library to read a book for about 20 to 30 minutes. Show them different types of books so that they can feel interested in reading books. Of course, if you want to set a good example, we will also do that, meaning that when all students read books, we as teachers must also read books and sit with them. After finishing reading, then instruct students to review the books they have read. By making a review of the book, they can also discuss their respective opinions on the books they have read with other students. And the last one is, in the end, extensive reading will get a complete space in the teaching and learning activities. Extensive reading is not about checking. It's about helping students enjoy reading and enjoying learning. After some time, doing extensive reading activities, students will begin to use new words and more complex structure in both speaking and writing. You will find them saying or writing things you have never thought or that are not in the textbook. And the last one will be explained by Sisla Rahmi.
Pew, pew.
Yeah.
The next material, how we can build up a reading library, but there are students hate reading.
Yeah.
Reading book is something that some people are simply not in the habit of doing. I have heard teachers complaining that their younger students don't read. Well, this isn't true. Firstly, young people do read, but it might be different reading. It's they read a lot. It's that short reading rather than novels. Secondly, not reading book is not limited to younger students. And what we need to do as a teacher to try to engage our learners by finding things they like reading. This might mean trying different types of text, or finding out what they are interested in. Another alternative is use audiobooks. This is a good way to get students interested in a story and hopefully encourage them to pick up a book and read. Of course, if you can catch your student when they are young and help them to establish a reading habit early, so much better. There are audio stories and poems for children available on One Stopping English. Okay, that's all about our presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.